Good day to you. I hope you're having a blessed day. We are going to read Matthew chapter 2. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we saw his star in the east, and are come to worship him. And when Herod the king heard it, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And gathering together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ should be born. And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea. For thus it is written through the prophet, And thou, Bethlehem, land of Judah, art in no wise least among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come forth a governor, who shall be shepherd of my people Israel. Then Herod privily then Herod privily called the wise men, and learned of them exactly what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search out exactly concerning the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word that I also may come and worship him. And they, having heard the king, went their way, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And they came into the house, and saw the young child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. And opening their treasures, they offered unto him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. Now when they were departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, basically, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt. And be thou there until I tell thee, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. And he arose and took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the Lord through the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt did I call my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and that's just angry, and sent forth and slew all the male children that were in Bethlehem, and in all the borders thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had exactly learned of the wise men. So some time had passed here, but he was hoping to catch Jesus as a young child, 1 to 2 years old, in Bethlehem, in that area. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken through Jeremiah the prophet, saying, A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and she would not be comforted, because they are not. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeareth in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead that sought the young child's life. And he arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither, which is there. And being warned of God in a dream, he withdrew into the parts of Galilee. Excuse me, I'm a little stuffy this morning. And came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken through the prophets, that he should be called a Nazarene. So that is how it went with Jesus after he was born, and what Joseph and Mary did. And this is summarizing, it sounds like, a couple of years where they went down and lived in Egypt until Herod was gone. Herod was not a valid king. He was set up by the Romans, and he was worried that if a person born of the lineage of David, who was the valid God-appointed king were to rise up and be accepted of the people, that he would be basically kind of out of a job and out of his position, But I think Herod was appointed by the Romans. I think he was more of a governor than a king, though he may have taken that title. The Romans, I don't think they usually appointed kings. And if I remember correctly, Rome was in power here. So that's just something of a little bit of history to remember. Now, I'm going to look at this again. I actually have an ESV Bible, which is a little easier to read because it's got bigger print for me. But I also have my NIV that we were looking at in the last chapter, because it's my study Bible and it has some good, interesting information. And some of what I was telling you a moment ago, that's just historical information. That's not anything special that I have gleaned. That is just the way the Romans did and the way they ran. When the Romans took over a place, they usually appointed a governor, and that's just the way it was. So if we read the NIV version, it's not hugely different. It may sound a little different. The King James version has a few words that are a little strange. But the study Bible has some notes here. Nothing. I'm looking through to see if there's anything major. There's that about let's see, in verse 4 where they mentioned the priests. Let's roll up to that here. The priests and the scribes should have been the ones. I think these should have been the leaders of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and maybe the main. What they call them? They call them the high priests. That line of Levites. Maybe that should have been those folks who would have known where the Messiah, Jesus, was going to be born and come from. So. And this says Jesus' birth in Bethlehem fulfills a direct predictive prophecy from Micah 5:2 and may also allude to 2 Samuel 5:2. Matthew adds the words by no means to the prophecy, not to contradict Micah, but to reflect that once the Messiah is born in this small village, it will no longer be least among the rulers of Judah. So, and it's appropriate to note that in verses 7 and 8, lower down on the screen, that Herod did not really want to worship Jesus, obviously. He wanted to remove a threat to what he considered his position. And it's also worth noting that his son, the Archelaus they mentioned down at the bottom when Joseph and Mary came back, his son replaced him. I'm not fully sure how all of that worked, but that's what that's how that was working with Rome. I mean, Rome was the power that was really in control as far as governmentally. So let's see. Now, in verse 11, because it mentions the house, it shows that the Magi, the wise men, actually by the time they got there, they did not arrive like maybe on the very night of the birth, and Jesus was not in a manger, but they came and worshipped him in the house. The ones that were there the night of that were the shepherds who came in from the fields. Now, the gifts they brought, the gold, the frankincense, and myrrh, were considered to be, gifts fit for a king. That was the idea of those. I think that's really the only symbolism really there with those. And the reason they went into Egypt, now I did not know this, but the study Bible says there was actually a Jewish community that existed there in Egypt outside of Herod's jurisdiction. So it was a natural place for them to be able to drop down, I guess, across the border, so to speak, to Egypt and to that community to live for a while. So that appears to be why that was. So that's just a little history and a little reasoning for what occurred. I'm going to read the chapter again in the New International Version here, as we did last time, just to sort of re-emphasize, and because I think this sounds a little easier to understand. I like the King James Version. That's the original version that I'm used to. But I'm so sorry. I think I just clubbed the mic. But a lot of times this reads better. So let's just try this, and I'll continue this as long as it's not annoying. All right. So here we go on chapter 2. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. Now they mean all Jerusalem as in the rulers, the priests, the scribes, and Herod. That's disturbing for them because their life could be changing. I don't know that all Jerusalem really knew what was going on, but I think it means like all the ruling people. I wasn't there, though. It could really mean all Jerusalem, but I just, didn't think all the citizens would necessarily be privy to this information. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him." After they heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary and bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. When they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Get up," he said. "Take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him." So he, Joseph, got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left for Egypt, where they stayed until the death of Herod. And so was fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I called my son." When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, I switch back and forth. I'm not sure on that. I should look that up, that pronunciation. But he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. "A voice heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more." After Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who were trying to take the child's life are dead." So he got up, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning in Judea in place of his father, Herod, he was afraid to go there. Joseph was afraid to go there. Having been warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee, and he went and lived in a town called Nazareth. So was fulfilled what was said through the prophets, that he would be called a Nazarene. And so there we have the New International Version of that chapter. And I think it reads slightly more clearly, though I don't really see any problem with either version. They both read the same. And that's our reading of Matthew chapter 2. I think this pretty much explains what happened at that time. You'll notice that Joseph was a righteous man, and the angel of the Lord came to him several times, and that he followed God's directions. That's something. There's something to be said for that. I don't know. I might be really scared or freaked out if that happened to me. I'm just saying, if I kept having these prophetic or godly dreams telling me to do things, that would be strange for me. But it says that Joseph was a righteous man, and he did follow God's instructions, and that must have been hard for him to do. But on the other hand, they're trying to protect Jesus and his mother, so it's kind of understandable and kind of odd to think about at the same time. If you were in that position, that would be some hard things to do. So, all right, I hope you have a blessed day, and I will come back again later, and we will do another chapter. Now, I hope this works for you. If you have any questions or comments, please make those known below, and we can discuss them, or I can even try to do some kind of I can try to do a discussion or answer video as best we can, trying to find our answers in the Bible, because that's the Word of God, and that's where our answers are. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.